Hi, Chai and Jimmy. I'm Christina from The Upcoming. It's so lovely to speak with you today. To start things off, would you like to share what made you want to take on this film?
Okay, I think Jimmy and I have always been fascinated by the Shackleton story. It is, the most enduring, most important survival story ever. I think, and that's just been like a long-term conversation between the two of us. The question was like, what was the hook? Why now? And so when they discovered Shackleton's boat, the Endurance, in 2022, it was an opportunity to revisit Endurance.
Was Endurance always going to be a feature-length film? And were there any doubts about fitting so much information to such a strict time constraint?
This Endurance was originally conceived for television by Nat Geo, and when we expressed interest, we asked them if they would consider making it a feature film, and they completely agreed. They understood what we were talking about. But yes, it was always conceived as being both 2022 and the 1914-15 expedition.
A moment, fact, or detail that each of you felt was vital to include in the film?
I mean, the story is so rich with details about how they survived. I think one of the things that always stood out to me was being able to survive the sea crossings and how difficult that must have been. So just kind of bringing to life all the things that they faced while they were, at sea trying to get to Elephant Island. Those details are always, for me, really incredible because I just try to imagine what it's like to be on an 18-foot boat in those kind of seas, in those kind of temperatures.
I think there are two details for me. One is that, Chippy the carpenter, had to shoot his cat. I think it really speaks to, like, cats don't eat that much. I mean, the cat probably could have survived, but it also speaks to kind of the civility and the kind of social contract that they had as fellow crew members. And the sort of obedient, like the command structure where Shackleton made the decision and everyone had to comply, despite how painful it may be personally. But also that was how dire it was. Like, they couldn't afford to keep those animals alive, and they couldn't make exceptions. Like, not the cat's not going to live. And it just makes the suffering or the endurance quite vivid. And then from the contemporary story, like, I'm very moved by John Shears. Like, it took me completely by surprise during one of our interviews when I said, like, why do you do this work? And he talks about how his grandmother growing up in England, never really got to see the world. And he starts getting quite emotional. And I was like, that's absolutely amazing. And that helps me understand why you'd go on, over 25 expeditions to Antarctica and spend 30 years of your career pursuing this.
What was the most surprising moment when looking through the footage of both expeditions?
All of the work that Hurley was able to accomplish and then bring back. I mean, these are glass plates. The idea that they had the capacity to not only survive on the edge of existence, but to be able to actually take the time and effort to keep all of these plates intact and then bring them all the way back for us and the footage. That's real commitment from an artist and the team, really. Like how important it was to have it documented, but then to also kind of preserve that documentation given the circumstances is remarkable.
And I think about all the plates that Hurley decided not to bring because he couldn't, and how he made that edit, like in the moment, freezing, with just basically, and like how you decide between 2 pounds and 3 pounds of what you can carry.
And also destroying them.
Yeah, the idea of destroying them instead of leaving them for someone else to find.
Or so that they wouldn't go back and try. I don't even know.
I don't know. We don't know that answer, and I think let's see what historian can help us. But I think from the footage itself, what was so astonishing for me was the civility they maintained while being stuck on the ice. The idea of the routines, the idea of eating off your porcelain, china, the idea of putting on plays, the reading, sharing books. Like, there was a real grace to how they addressed or like lived through their predicament that I admired, and it's a good reminder of kind of like grace under pressure. And I would say from the 2022 expedition, there's so many remarkable things about it. I think that Nico Vincent's great innovation with how to facilitate the sawtooth drone, saber-tooth AUV, automated underwater vehicle, and capturing those images, that 3D imagery, like, it's astonishing when you actually see the linoleum 110 years later in real life. It's not like it was a dream. It's not just captured in a photo. There's no Photoshop involved. Like the tangibility of it is astonishing.
Most of the subjects of your past films have been contemporary figures. Were there any unexpected challenges working with a historical figure, especially one with a legacy like Shackleton?
I've only made 2 films about people I didn't meet before in my life, and one was Doug Tompkins for Wildlife, who Jimmy knew well. And then there was Shackleton. I think they're huge challenges. Again, all documentaries present their unique challenges, and those are actually opportunities. And for this, I think in terms of Shackleton, like really trying to understand his character and his power, like his charisma, is clearly he did. He was an outsider. He was an Irishman. He was from the Merchant Marines, not the Royal Navy. But he still had this power and also this fallibility where he found himself in this, like he led his men into this situation, but then had the courage to lead them out of it. So I think it's just like extra diligence and extra inquiry into all the primary accounts that we had available to us.
Thank you.